Today we're going to be going over how you guys can unlock every single schematic in Modern Warfare Zombies after Season 2 Reloaded. So maybe if you're a new player still trying to figure out how all this works, or maybe you're still missing a schematic and you've been trying to grind it out for a while, hopefully we can answer all of those questions here today. And if you guys are missing anything in this game mode, hopefully we can fill up those slots. So with that, welcome on back to the channel, everybody. If y'all don't know, my name is Ghost. I appreciate everybody that stops by the video today. If you're into Zombies content or anything Call of Duty, consider rocking that like button and subscribing to the channel. We just hit 13,000 subscribers and I cannot thank you guys enough for all the support lately. So we're going to be breaking down the video today into 5 separate sections. Number 1 is going to be perks. Number 2 is going to be the weapon mods. Number 3 is going to be all of the Ethereum items. Number 4 is going to be the wonder weapons. And then for the 5th is going to be all those classified items. So the very first schematics we're going to be looking at how to unlock is going to be all of the perks. You're going to be unlocking the Deadshot Daiquiri, the Speed Cola, and the Stamina Up perks by completing Tier 1 contracts. You're going to be getting the Juggernog and the PhD Flopper schematics from grinding out the Tier 2 contracts. And lastly, to get that Elemental Pop schematic, you're going to have to be grinding Tier 3 contracts. My advice for you guys to be doing these contracts in any of the zones, to be doing the quickest and easiest contracts possible, that's sticking to mainly bounties and the deliver cargo. If you have to do the weapon raid stash or the outlast, that's alright too. Just be sure to stay away from those Aether extractor contracts. Not only is the AI not fun to deal with, but they just take up way too much time. For the Tier 3 contracts, there is actually a couple that are incredibly easy for you guys to do. Completing the bounty can be one of the easiest contracts. There is several ways for you guys to cheese these things. You can always use whatever meta boss killer that we have in the game at the time. Like right now we have the Jack Purifier Flamethrower. You could always insert one of the turret mods inside of the turrets and then lure your bounty to one of those. Or you could always do it the old-fashioned way, and if you got a Juggernaut, you throw that thing down and use that suit to clear out one of these things easily. Next, and probably the easiest contract for you guys to do inside of the red tier zone would be the deliver cargo contract. Now with this one, if you see it, you do gotta be fast because this one gets snagged up really quick. And if you're confident enough in your gunplay, the weapon raid stash contract can definitely be fairly easy as well, especially if you have a really good weapon or you're confident in training. For the very last perk to finish off this section is going to be Death Perception, and for this one you're going to have to complete the Act 3 Tier 1 mission 2-factor authentication. Now when you are going through all of the story missions on here, they are very handholdy and they practically completely tell you what to do. So if you haven't gone through and completed all of the Act story missions, be sure to do that because completing those is going to be getting you a lot of schematics throughout here and you're going to be seeing that. But we're going to be moving on to our next section here, and that is going to be for the weapon mods. And now that I've kind of explained to you what contracts that I think you guys should be doing and best ones to be grinding out, especially for like the red zone and stuff like that, well, all of that does apply to getting these weapon mods as well. You get the Napalm Burst and the Brain Rot from completing Tier 1 contracts, and you're going to be getting that Dead Wire schematic and the Shatter Blast schematic from completing Tier 2 contracts. And lastly, you'll get the Cryo Freeze schematic from completing the Act 2 tier mission Safecracker. Now this next section is going to be all about the Ethereum items, and it's also where things start getting slightly more complicated because we're going to have to be doing a little bit more than just grinding out regular contracts or completing story missions. Now for the raw Ethereum crystal, you're going to have to be grinding out Tier 2 contracts. For that epic Aether tool and for the refined Ethereum crystal, you're going to have to be grinding out Tier 3 contracts. The uncommon Aether tool and the rare Aether tool are both going to be obtained through completing story missions, but the legendary Aether tool and the flawless Ethereum crystal are both going to be obtained through defeating the red worm. I'm going to extremely quickly tell you guys how to set this thing up and how you can defeat this red worm solo. But if you guys do want a complete in-depth guide and want to see me complete the entire thing in real time, I will have a link down in the description that you guys should go check out, and the video is just up on my channel. Very quickly, we're going to want to come down to this spot on the map here. It's going to show us the 4 locations where all of our USBs are going to be at. We're going to want to go around the map and collect all 4 of those USBs. Now if you pull up your TAC map and look just outside of where the Aether Storm is, you'll notice that there's going to be 2 ammo crates somewhere really close to the Aether Storm, and that's going to be where your boss fight is. You're going to wait for the gas to cover up those Aether extractors that are there and insert your USBs into those. Now I would recommend before you do this, just make sure that you're fully prepared, like make sure that your weapons are papped up to a level of 3 and you got like a decent Aether tool, you got all your perks, and you got a golden gas mask. And my recommendation, at least for right now, is to bring in the VR11. That has been my best chance to beat this guy solo. I've done it a few times recently and it was fairly easy. Now we're going to be moving on to our wonder weapon section, and we'll get this first one out of the way since we were just talking about it. For the Scorcher schematic, you're going to have to defeat the red worm, but luckily that is going to be your last schematic from this guy. Next, the ray gun schematic is probably going to be one of the simplest ones, and that's just going to be through grinding those Tier 3 contracts. And you're going to be getting the Wonder Waff from completing one of these story missions. It's going to be Act 3 Tier Mission 4 Holdout, which I bet you guys can guess what that is. It's just a holdout mission. Just complete it. It's going to be in the reward rift. Alright, so now it's time to get into the fun stuff. Let's talk about those classified schematics. Now for our first set of classified schematics, we got the Aether Blade, the Dog Bone, and the Golden Armor Plate. Now if you guys are going to be getting these schematics, you're going to have to be coming into the Dark Aether, but if you've never done this before, it's going to be taking you at least a bare minimum of 3 times of coming in here. First time you come into the Dark Aether, you're going to be doing a story mission, which you're going to be defeating a worm, and then you're going to be getting a diary. But you then have to go around and collect all the items to open up the Dark Aether for the first time. If you guys do need a complete guide for that, there is one up on my channel, there is several of them up on YouTube, but it is fairly simple and fairly self-explanatory. Once you guys get the Dark Aether open, you're going to be in here, and you're going to have to complete contracts in order to find yourself an Elder Sigil so you can come back in here and complete those contracts again to unlock the schematics. So first off, let's just go through what the 3 contracts are, where the 3 bunnies are going to be located, and just some tips and tricks on how you guys can complete these things. So I'm going to throw up this map up on the screen right here, and this is going to show you where the 3 bunny contracts are going to be located. We got an Aether Extractor contract, we got an Escort contract, and then we got a Holdout mission. Now it doesn't matter what order that you do the contracts in, but if you want all 3 of the schematics, you're going to have to complete all 3 contracts, because your first contract is always going to give you the dog bone schematic, your second contract will always give you the golden armor plate schematic, and your third contract is going to guarantee you that Aether blade schematic. Now for the Aether Extractors, those ones are very simple. I would just say as long as you bring in plenty of decoys or monkey bombs, cashmere grenades, you guys should be okay. For the Holdout mission, I would advise you guys to bring in a sentry gun or 2. It's just going to help you guys out quite a bit while you're in there. For the Escort mission, unless you got a team, I would very highly advise you guys to bring in the VR11, or else that thing is going to be damn near close to impossible to complete. Now it's time to talk about our last 3 classified schematics, and these are going to be the ones that we just got with Season 2 Reloaded, and you're going to have to be going into the new Dark Aether to get these. Now opening up the new Dark Aether is a little bit more complicated. You guys are going to have to be gathering up a bunch of items inside of the new story mission, and I do have a complete in-depth guide on how to open this up. I'm going to leave the links down in the description if you guys want to go check that out. But you can also completely skip this process if somebody just brings you into the Dark Aether with them, because once you have been into the Dark Aether once, then it should be open for you for good. And also with this one, if you have an Elder Sigil, that's going to work for this portal as well, so you can completely skip going into the first Dark Aether if you want, or with using a regular sigil, that is. Now coming into this new Dark Aether, it's going to be exactly like the first one. We're going to have 3 contracts that we're going to need to complete, go around and gather up these bunnies. Now inside of this Dark Aether, they ended up switching up one of the contracts, so instead of the Escort, we're going to have an HVT, we have a Holdout mission, and we have the Aether Extractors. Now for the HVT, it's just like dealing with any other HVT or any other boss. Just go ahead and use whatever boss destroyer is in the game at the time, or you can always use a Juggernaut if you don't feel comfortable. Next is the Holdout mission, and it's going to be the same thing. Just set up a sentry gun or 2, and if you got some decent weapons like a good PAP 3 and whatnot, you should be good to go in here. And for those Aether Extractors, same thing over here. As long as you bring in plenty of decoys, monkey bombs, cashmere grenades, things just to distract those zombies, you should be able to handle this contract with these as well. But completing these contracts is how you are going to be unlocking these schematics for the VR11 case, the Mags of Holding, and those Bloodburner keys. Now the only thing that sucks about this Dark Aether is that it's not like our previous one where those schematics are guaranteed. I had to come in here several times before I was able to gather up all 3 of them. Now I'm not sure if that's something that they might change in the future. That's something that they like to do in this game. They like to change things up a lot. But the other cool thing about this new Dark Aether is that we can find those previous Dark Aether acquisitions inside of here, which is pretty cool. But that's about it, guys. That is how you unlock every single schematic in Modern Warfare Zombies. I definitely tried to condense it down quite a bit, but this was definitely one hell of a video to put together. If you guys enjoyed it, or if you found it at all informative, please do me the biggest favor in the world and smash the hell out of that like button, and subscribe to the channel if anybody is new. It would mean the absolute world to me. Yeah, and a big extra huge shout out to all of my channel members. You guys are the absolute backbone of this channel. Your guys' support means more to me than you'll ever know, so check out that join button down there. You'll get your name highlighted with a little ghost character next to it, and if I ever start going live again, I do definitely like to play with my channel members. So with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next one.